Hey, beautiful soul. You're listening to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast, your weekly dose of fertility wisdom. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. I'm a barefoot mama bear, pharmacist, and integrative fertility coach. This is your go-to podcast for all things to naturally nourish your fertility, embody womb healing, and reclaim your feminine power to accelerate your path to pregnancy. My expert guests and I will be having intentional conversations to discuss the many facets of a thriving, fertile foundation, natural wellness, and how we grow and transform as women on our journey to motherhood. So let's dive in, shall we? Hello and welcome to Rising into Mindful Motherhood. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to understand that control is truly an illusion, how to surrender to that fact, and how to get through the really, really hard times within your fertility journey and being able to appreciate and actually witness the micro lesson that was underneath that difficult time, that difficult path that you were going through. So, I do just want to preface that the example that I'm about to give, I completely understand that there is no comparison to what I just experienced to someone having difficulties conceiving and having a child. I completely understand that. This is just something that I recently went through, like this week, and you can apply it to many different situations. So I recently was reminded, as I am every once in a while, that control is a complete illusion. We think that we have control over things. We like to feel like we're in control and we're in the driver's seat, but sometimes God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe, have different plans for us. And sometimes there's really not much we can do about it. So to give a very short synopsis of what it really just came through for me to share on this podcast, I just had to wait to be able to share it, is my experience. So this past weekend, the weekend right after Thanksgiving in 2024, with both my husband and my schedules, it just happened that we had to put a lot of our traditional Christmas activities in one weekend, plus or minus a couple of days. So basically in a 4-day span, really a 5-day span. Friday was really me getting ready after Thanksgiving, taking down all the fall decorations, decorating for Christmas. Saturday was supposed to be getting the Christmas tree. We get a real tree. We get it with my mom and her fiance and his parents. And of course, we bring our kids. Our nephew was supposed to join us this year, which was just extra special. And then we all take it back home and we decorate. And we were going to have our Thanksgiving meal with everyone, particularly Joel's parents, because we haven't had Thanksgiving with them yet. And then Sunday, baking some Christmas cookies, taking Olivia and my nephew to the Polar Express. And then Tuesday, we walk around this quaint, cute little town, especially around Christmas, called Skinny Atlas, and do lights on the lake. Lo and behold, in the middle of Friday night, myself and my daughter and my stepson all ended up with a stomach bug or something. If we were all up getting sick, we started, Olivia and I, at about 3 a.m. and we were awake until 10, 11 in the morning, getting sick nonstop. And we did not get to go get our tree. My husband was fine, so he went and got it with my nephew, his parents, and my mom. So no one ended up coming over, minus my nephew, but nobody else came over. And that was really, really hard for me because I live for weekends like this. I was so excited. All my nieces and nephews are very busy playing hockey. We don't get to see them as often as we like to anymore because they're getting older. And I was just super excited to have him experience getting the tree and bringing it back and how we decorate it and our traditions as our family. And we didn't get to do any of that. And actually last year I had started like a wreath making tradition with my mom and my mother-in-law and myself. I had already got all the supplies for it. Couldn't do any of it. And there was literally nothing I could do. I could not stop the fact that we were sick. We were done getting sick by the time it was time to go get the tree. But we were exhausted, we were weak, we weren't feeling well, and it just is what it is. And to add onto all of that, not alone did we miss all these activities, but I'm a businesswoman. I'm an entrepreneur. I work from home. I have been in bed basically from the middle of the night on Friday night through yesterday. Today is Thursday. Normally, I launch my podcast on Wednesdays. This week, it's going to be launched on Friday. Now, that was also very difficult for me because I am a recovering perfectionist. I like to do things in certain ways and I like to uphold things in certain ways. I post my podcast on Wednesdays at 5 a.m. and that is a value that I want to uphold for myself, for my listeners, right? I don't want to not show up for you guys. So that was also very difficult because I had the stomach bug. I felt better on Sunday. Still couldn't really eat. I haven't really been able to eat much within the week. But then on Monday, I started going downhill again, but with different symptoms. And then it just kept getting worse and worse into Tuesday and Wednesday. So there was just no way that I was recording this podcast. And I think by Saturday or Sunday, I already knew this is what is coming through to talk about is how much control is an illusion to us. It was just having the capacity to come on and speak about it. And I'm so grateful for my health and that I'm feeling better today because I have to go back to work tomorrow. So I'm very thankful for all of that. So that was really hard. And again, there's no comparison, right? We're talking about apples and oranges here, but it's still a situation where it sucks and it hurts and you might want to cry about it and you can be sad about it. There were things that I envisioned in my mind and they did not happen. And I don't know if there will be the same opportunity next year because I don't know if my nephew's hockey schedule will align with when we go get our tree. And I have to be okay with that, right? I have to find peace in that. I have to surrender to that. And I just think that there's so many pieces and perspective shifts that we can take from these other lived experiences where control is perceived as being taken away from us, but in reality, we never actually had control. So I know that you all experience this in your life outside of just your fertility journey, right? Whether maybe I'm sure some of you have had really fun plans and maybe you got sick, or maybe other people that were part of the plans got sick and then the plans just didn't happen the way they were supposed to. There's just so many. Maybe you were going somewhere and your flight got delayed or your flight got canceled. There's just so many things that can feel so out of control. And there were some times when I was laying in bed when I was feeling pissed off, I was upset, I was not happy. This is being taken away from me, right? I started going down that feeling sorry for myself, that victim mentality mode. And I knew that is not me. That is not how I show up for myself and for others. That is not how I want to project myself out into the world. And it's in those moments where it's okay, what is here for me then? This sucks. We've already made that abundantly clear. So let's just layer this into the fertility journey. This happens every month, right? When you take your pregnancy test and it turns to a negative, that sucks. And it's okay to feel those feelings. Maybe you did an IUI and it didn't stick. Maybe you did IVF and it didn't stick. Maybe it was your fourth IVF and it still didn't stick. Maybe you did your egg retrieval and your results were poor. Maybe you can't even do the transfer. All of these little things. Maybe you had some testing done and you found out you have stage 4 endometriosis, you have PCOS, or maybe you had testing done and they tell you everything looks normal. We don't know why you're getting pregnant. There are so many things. Maybe you miscarried. Maybe you miscarried again. And maybe they're not able to tell you why you're miscarrying. There's so many things that can bring us down to our knees and just have us questioning, like, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? And I know, believe me, especially going through a loss, you want to find reasons for it to justify it and help make yourself feel better. When I pose this next question, just you can take it or leave it. I have talked to some people who have gone through loss, significant loss, and they understood what I was saying. They agreed with what I'm about to say. So I do know that there is a place for this. You may not be in a place to hear it yet, and that's okay. Maybe down the line you will be. But I'm a true believer that everything is here for us. Everything is constantly working in our favor to get us to where we are meant to be. You can take it or leave it, believe it or not, that's fine. And sometimes, unfortunately, that does involve loss, as an example. So, going back to my example, and you can take what I did and try to get curious with how you can approach your journey, your falling on your knee moment, your like moment of asking for mercy, let's say. So when I found myself going down this rabbit hole of like, well, my life effing sucks. Like, I've been waiting for this weekend to happen, especially once I finally knew that my nephew was coming. He's also my godson. I just had such a magical weekend in my mind, just ripped away. And I'm like, okay, what is here for me? There's got to be something underneath this lesson, this illness that I'm going through. And the longer I felt sick, like the more prevalent my micro lessons and the shift in perspective became for me. It was a little whisper in the beginning, and then they just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And there's just so many things that I could share. I have a lot of internal dialogue always going on in my head. Not necessarily bad. I just can have a lot of things going on. And I feel like some of the things that came through for me is, one, what can we be thankful for now, in this moment? Literally, after I was getting sick all night, what can I be thankful for right now? And ironically, it was my health. I'm not in the hospital. I'm at home. I know my body will recover from this. What else can I be thankful for? I may not be getting my tree right now, but I'm in bed with my mini best friend, my daughter, my child. Yes, she's not feeling good, and that breaks my heart, but we're in bed together. We are snuggling together. We are taking care of each other. She's 5.5, and she would rub my back and tell me, "It's okay, mommy. I'm here for you if you need me." So it's just being thankful for those little moments. And then also taking a reality check. Katie, maybe, I mean, I know with our schedules, it was hard and it was what it was, but maybe we don't plan all of the Christmas activities in one weekend, because then if something like this does happen, which it can happen, everything doesn't get wiped off of the Christmas festivity list. So maybe I could have found a way around scheduling everything within a 5-day time frame, and just allowing myself more space. My human design, if anyone's familiar with human design, I'm a projector. So I need more time and space to rest, especially between things. Maybe this was my body, the universe, God saying, yeah, Katie, you need to slow down. Because on top of doing all these really cool things, and not to mention Thanksgiving was like the day before Thanksgiving. We had a lot of fun things going on as well. I'm doing a lot of things in my business at once. Usually I don't do it that way, but I was trying to do a lot at once. So this brings me to another thing, like a little side tangent. So that is me pushing through my masculine, leaning too much into my masculine more than my feminine, and also leading out of alignment, because I already know this. I need more space and time to do things, especially when it comes to my business, especially when I know it's the holiday season and I'm all about holiday traditions and doing things as a family. So why would I think it was a good idea to work on 3 different projects at once in my business while also doing all of these things, right? So I want to make sure I'm weaving this in and connecting the dots back to your fertility journey. Is I think it was just like a wake-up call, like a heavy duty reminder, right? Like a pink slip in my inbox. Hello, Katie. This is not how you're meant to operate. This is out of alignment for you. You need to take a step back, right? You need to take more time to rest, more time to just be in the present moment with yourself and with your family, and not trying to do all of the things. Now, raise your hand if it feels like you're doing that in your fertility journey. You're trying to do all of the things. You're going to the doctor appointments, you're going to the acupuncturist, you're getting the labs done, the tests done, all of the things. You're taking all of the supplements, you're tracking your cycle like clockwork, you are exercising, you are just hitting the nail on everything, but you feel exhausted. You're starting to feel resentful. You're starting to lose hope. You're doubting the possibility that you'll ever get pregnant again. You're starting to feel desperate, as in anything that your doctor is telling you you have to do to get pregnant, you feel like, I have to. What are my other choices? What is left for me to do? Because I've done everything, right? So just thinking and looking, where in your journey have you been leaning too much in your masculine and not enough in your feminine? Where have you been pushing? Where have you been leading out of alignment? And when you're out of alignment, when you're burnt out, when you're tired, when you're irritated. So where is that showing up for you? And it's not about blaming or shaming. It's just about, oh my gosh, this is how it's showing up. And then you get to make a choice moving forward, right? I can tell you right now, my lesson is learned. I am not going to try to cram in what I tried to cram in my business in November again, especially leading up to a holiday week with a holiday festivity crammed weekend. I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to do that to myself again or to anybody else, because the disappointment was real. It was real. It sucked. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It sucked. I'm still going to probably grieve missing out on the memories that were missed from this weekend. It is what it is. I know that there will be other memories, but a lot can happen in a year's time. We don't know what chance we'll have for a similar opportunity as this week, but we have to move on. I can't hold on to it forever. I will come to peace with it at some point. I mean, I am pretty much at peace with it now, but there is still a little part of me that's still, I just got out of survival mode by just trying to not be sick. So there's still some things that I have to process within myself. So I'm not carrying this sad or negative, dense energy around from what we missed out on this weekend. So another thing that I just want to bring up is your human design. Like, everyone has their own unique human design, and it's a really cool way to learn how you can optimally show up in your life and how to really perceive and pick up when you're not living in alignment with your life as well. So that is something that I do help my one-on-one clients look at. It's really actually pretty cool. So to wrap this up, number one, we do not have control over everything. And I think once we can actually accept that, it can take a lot of the pressure off, because a lot of times, especially if you are a type A woman like I am, we feel so much pressure for things to be just so and perfect, and we strive so much to make those things happen that what we don't realize is we're actually burning the candle at both ends. Like we are burning out on our fertility fire, the flow of our fertile energy, and we don't even realize it. So just understanding there are some things that we cannot control, like how we conceive our child, when we conceive our child, what that's going to look like, what our pregnancy is going to look like, what our birth is going to look like. There is really no control, really. We think that we have control, but there is none. Sadly, you can do all the preparation in the world and there's still no control, but there are some things we can control. So going back to my example is the micro lesson that I learned is I need to create more space in my life. I'm always brought back to that reminder every once in a while. So what can I control? I can control how I plan things down the line in the future. Yes, maybe I'll miss out on one thing because we get sick, but I won't be missing out on 5 things because we're sick for a week, right? I feel like missing out on one thing versus 5 is a little less of a sting. I can control the pressure I put on myself, going back to what I just said about wanting things to be just so and perfect. I really do. I put pressure on myself to make things right. This like beautiful, magical, memorable experience. That's just, I feel like how I've always been, and that's clearly something I need to work on. I think it's okay to want to do that, but not at the expense of your health, whether it's your mental health or your physical health and things like that. But we also have control over our perspective, how we view things. And it might not be right off the bat, right? Remember, I said I was feeling pretty bad for myself, for everyone involved. And then I realized that that wasn't doing anyone good. So then I shifted my perspective. So it's okay if maybe you're starting off with, oh, why is she pregnant and not me? And then you have time to sit with it and you turn it around and be like, she can get pregnant and so can I. And we can control how we respond to things as well. I could have thrown myself into basically like a temper tantrum, which would have put more stress on my body. I could have not listened to my body and pushed myself to still go get the tree, even though I knew I didn't feel good and I needed to rest. And that could have made things worse, right? But I knew that that wasn't going to do anybody good, especially myself. So I decided to stay home. I decided to rest. And then eventually I surrendered to the whole thing. Once I realized you're sick, you got to ride this out. You need to nourish your body. You need to rest. I had to just let go of wanting things to happen a certain way and let go of maybe you just don't do X, Y, or Z for your business today or tomorrow, but there's always the next day and the next day. And is anyone really going to notice that you published your podcast on Friday versus Wednesday? Probably not. I'm probably the only one who's going to know about it. So there's just so many sides that we can look at and consider, and we can flip the coin to something that's going to serve us now and in the future. Serve us in a much more positive way in this present moment and in the future. So I know that it is so common, and so many of you are really feeling out of control in your fertility journey. You feel like you've done everything right. You've done everything that your doctor has said. So far, nothing has worked. Maybe you don't have any answers at all. And maybe the next steps that they're offering you don't feel quite right for you just yet, like IVF, or maybe they do. But you have this inner knowing that if you're doing IVF, if you are going to invest that time, money, and energy into IVF, if you are going to take that hit on your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health, that you are going to do your due diligence beforehand and get your body in the best place ever to be able to support the most optimal egg retrieval, egg transfer, IVF cycle you could ever imagine. If I were doing IVF and putting my body through that, that is what I would be doing. I would be making sure I'm crossing my T's and dotting my I's before I do that. So if you're in this place, wherever you are in your fertility journey, I have an upcoming masterclass that I am personally inviting you to. This is a free masterclass. This is a live masterclass. Get pregnant now. Restore your fertility naturally and finally become a mom, even if they said you can't. So this is an exclusive masterclass for women and couples looking to finally get and stay pregnant. So if you are someone who has experienced recurrent pregnancy loss, recurrent miscarriages, this is for you too. So what you're going to learn in this masterclass, the truth about why you're not getting pregnant and how to finally change it. The top 3 holistic fertility secrets that doctors are not telling you about, but you need to know. A proven step-by-step method to restore your fertility and get pregnant naturally. The #1 fertility restoration strategy that is going to boost your chances of pregnancy with or without IVF. So whatever is in alignment for you in your journey. So there's going to be a link in the show notes. Check it out. Save your spot. There is going to be limited spots for this live masterclass because there will be a Q&A at the end, and I want to make sure that I'm able to get to everybody's questions and support everyone that is on the masterclass. Anyone who is on live, they're in for a special treat because I have something that I share with my closest proximity, my one-on-one clients. This is something I'm going to be sharing with anyone who is on live for this masterclass. So the link is in the show notes. Go check it out. Save your seat. I cannot wait to see you there. And thank you so much for listening. I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast. If this episode resonated with you or gave you an aha moment, stop what you're doing right now and write a review. This simple act of kindness helps me get this podcast out to connect with as many women as I possibly can. I also have a special offer. If you send me a screenshot of your review, I will take $250 off one of my premium coaching containers. Let me know what resonated with you the most and why. So connect with me in my free Facebook community or tag me on Instagram. You'll find both listed below. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to this episode, and I'll see you next time.